What's up, y'all? This is King Ramil, and we're back today with another low-mid, dead-end conversation revolving around the late, great, iconic rapper, DMX. I want to get each of you guys' first introduction to DMX and y'all first impression. Rod, I want to start with you.
DMX is the one that kind of reintroduced me to New York hip-hop. You know, I came up on like Run DMC and stuff like that, obviously all the typical guys coming up, but then, you know, as I grew up, you know, being from the South, I just kind of naturally veered away from New York hip-hop. So, yeah, my first impressions of him was like, dang, man, this dude is like aggressive. I was a really big Pac fan. Mm-hmm. He was rapping with his shirt off and shit. Like, he just kind of reminded me of Pac, honestly, like how he was aggressive on the mic. For some reason, it just didn't sound like super New York to me, like the gurus of the world and stuff like that. So I rocked with it. Even though I was from the South, I rocked with it.
Yeah, I just got hipped on him with his debut album. That was my introduction to DMX. Was the debut.
And what was your first impression of him? What did you think when you first heard him?
Yeah, he tried to get slick. You see that? Yeah,
What?
He tried to get slick. No, not you. He was trying to get slick.
No, you gotta answer it.
I mean, you know, I didn't care for it. I didn't care for his music.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if anybody watched Dead in Hip Hop,
They know
this already.
They know B is a big, huge DMX fan.
Okay.
Even his boys rag on him about it back home.
I never heard it that everyone heard. Like, usually sometimes you'd be like, okay, I understand the appeal, but I just didn't get it with DMX at all.
I do remember having Get At Me Dog, and then I bought the album. I'm pretty sure I was reading hip hop magazines back then. Mm-hmm. So that may be another way that I came across him. It felt like it was just something different at the time, you know, when I listened to it. I heard that beat in here, you know, it was just kind of different, man. Like, I can't really explain it.
First impression, and if there's a song or album, what was it that introduced you to it or got you interested in DMX?
It was probably, as cliche as it sounds, it was probably fucking Rough Riders Anthem. I wasn't super, I mean, it was a nice, catchy song, but it didn't make me go pick up the album. I didn't pick up the album, I think, until like some of the guys I skated with were listening to it. And I was like, damn, all right, this shit's kind of dope. I can tell you the song that definitely got me interested was the X Is Coming song, because it had that Freddy Krueger shit. It was 1, 2, X is coming for. I was like, oh, this is dope. This is dope. Back then, I wasn't really listening for an it factor. It was just, this guy's aggressive. He sounded like Onyx. I was like, all right, cool, I'm on board.
He just came off really confident out the gate. I really believed what he was rapping about, and that, you know, you want rappers to be authentic as possible, and I think he just came off super authentic. You know, to some it may have came off gimmicky as him barking and stuff, but even that came off like this dude really wants to bark. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who do you know that can bark on a record and you really believe that that's what he wanted to do? It sounded like that's what he really wanted to do on a record. So I've always appreciated that about DMX. It's just his authenticity, his aggressiveness, and just genuine, man. It just always came off genuine, and it transcended to movies. Like it seemed like he was him. That first album, I was on it. I was on it.
You know what's interesting is that I can't tell you what it is about him that made it appealing as a rapper. I just know that for me, listening to his albums, like, he made good songs. Just looking back and analyzing it now, there was a lot of variety in them. There was, you know, he had the semi-mainstream stuff, and then he had the grimy, darker stuff, you know, like Damien and X Is Coming. Then he had the ATF and all the other stuff. So I think he was just able to make songs that were listenable to me, that I liked, and there was a good balance to it. But I think you when you said Tupac, I think that's kind of like, it was just what Tupac brought to a record, to an album, to himself. Yeah. You know, and that's what, you know, I think that was a good comparison. That's what I got from him and his music.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not comparing him to. I'm not saying he's Tupac, but like, I don't know. It's just some similarities there. No shirt, bald head, aggressive. I was like, dang, this reminds me of Tupac. You know, in a sense.
It was just his energy, bro.
Just his energy?
It was just his energy. Because, I mean, back then, I was young. I was listening to metal and punk and shit, so I wanted my rappers to be, like, aggressive and loud and just ridiculous. You know, and he was all of those things, you know? It was like, I mean, yeah, I do like some of the slower, kind of menacing songs, and I like some of his more. I don't know if you want to call them like the more emotional type songs, but like the more mellow, like "Let Me Fly." I like those songs too, but those fucking hard, loud, just angry as fuck songs, like there was no one that was delivering at that level back then. Like he was special, man. Like you know what it also was? He wasn't polished at all. Like when you listen to his albums. They all sound like first takes. It sounds like he just go in the booth, just and then he's just done. He's like, I'm not doing no overdubs. I'm not doing none of that. I'm just gonna fucking bark on the mic and walk out the room, and then y'all do whatever you're gonna do. First time I ever saw an interview with him, I was just like, I don't think this is fake. I think this is just
That's him.
That's how he is. Like he just talks like that. The dude talks just like he raps.
I just thought it was dope that he dropped 2 albums in 1 year. At the time, I couldn't recall anybody doing some shit like that.
They both went platinum, didn't they?
Yeah. Like, that was dope. Like, as a fan of DMX, like, you know, of course, back then, you know, back in the day, you know, we would get 1 album and then we would play that shit like, yeah, we got 2. And as a fan, that felt like a Christmas present, you know. And I was like, man, I can't, another one? Like, for real? And they were like, man, this shit is as good as the other one.
I was still really playing that first one heavy.
Still digesting.
Yeah. Like, I'm not like people are today, like, oh, I need music. I liked playing music back to back, trying to learn lyrics, play the shit out of an album to try to learn the lyrics to it. I wanted to know all the names he was saying in that, what they want from a nigga. Like, I want to say we recited that shit in class one day for a project. It was just like, like for real. It was like, I forgot. It might have been a literature class or something like that. We used to do dumb shit like that.
You went to hood ass high school, man. They gave you a good grade for that shit.
Right.
I know he got some standout bars like that y'all can just.
I didn't go to DMX for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I just went to it for the jams. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the mood was, I put a DMX song on.
Because I didn't go to DMX for that either.
Just,
it was
okay,
just
so
like
DMX is just for the energy, the
yeah. Like,
okay.
I didn't. The thing about it is, DMX did have dope lines, but
Absolutely.
it wasn't like I really went to DMX for like some super clever double entendre or some like bar fest. It was just he sounded so good. It's like you couldn't honestly, even if this is gonna sound blasphemous, if you asked me right now to name my favorite Tupac bar, I probably couldn't.
Same. I was gonna say that too, because I went to Tupac for the same thing. It was the energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't think he really had super complex bars because he really wanted you to know what he was saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How he felt.
Right.
He didn't want you to decipher no shit.
Exactly.
Brenda got a baby and this is what's going on.
This is what's going on.
You know what I'm saying?
This is what's going on in the hood.
Right.
You know
That's
what I'm
it.
saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how DMX was.
That's how DMX was. I'm gonna rob you, and this is how I'm gonna rob you, and I may rob you twice. Right. You know, he had some hard shit, but yeah, I couldn't really name you a super dope bar right now.
Okay, that's cool.
I will say this though, for what I've noticed, like from amongst my friends and everything, that when DMX came out, you know, this was during the time where we had just lost Tupac and Biggie. You know, so, you know, the game was starting to shift. So I feel like on the mainstream level, that 98 year, DMX just brought like a whole, like a blast of energy, man, like that was like needed in a time of mourning and hip hop.
He was on Def Jam, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was basically like their number 1 artist at that time.
He saved him. He saved Def Jam, actually. You know what I'm saying? So
there was one that was funny. I had to look. It was on Get At Me Dog when he said, I have niggas falling like white bitches in a scary movie. Oh, you remember that? And they were like, then he did the sound effect. I always thought that shit was funny because it painted such a vivid picture. Like, so what are you gonna say, Ron?
Now I was gonna say, I know y'all had mentioned those two going platinum, but I think his first 4 went platinum, right?
Probably so.
Yeah, I think even the Depression went 4.
What are you all's favorite album from DMX, and just any final closing thoughts on his legacy and remembering DMX?
This is easy, but go ahead. I want to hear what y'all.
Nah,
got to say.
you said it's
I want to hear
easy.
what y'all got to say.
Yeah,
You
he's
said
trying to put it
this
on
is
us.
easy for me. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. That is my favorite shit because it's pissed off for damn near the whole fucking thing. There's like 2 songs where he calms down just a little bit. The rest of the shit, he's just mad.
Yeah.
And it's got my jam. X is coming.
That's the one, man. That's the one, man. I could just pop that bitch in and play it. That first one, though, I feel like everybody could rock with that one.
I didn't know that I love that album as much as I did until I just recently did it with Feefo, man. We had just went through it for the podcast stuff, DE365. And you can go listen to it. It's on the Dead End Hip Hop podcast. And just going back through it, and I was like, man, that album had damn near everything on it that you could like. Man, like one of my favorite songs on there is like the Convo. Man, that shit, man.
Yeah.
Is so fucking dope. There's Crime Story. I already mentioned ATL. You know, Stop Being Greedy, Rough Riders Anthem, of course. It's so much, man. And then it had the song that the women love, How It's Going Down, on it. Niggas done started something was on there. Like that shit. It's fully loaded, man. It's by far, has to be by far his best album.
I think his personal struggles affected his career to a T. I forget who was saying this. I think it might have been Swiss Beats when he was giving his tribute. But he was like, you never saw X with a Lamborghini. You never saw X with a bunch of chains. You never saw X flaunting money.
That's a good point.
X was behind the scenes doing real charity work, giving people money, helping people out, but he just never talked about it. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that he grew up in really rough conditions and he didn't have people to help him. So he was trying to help other people. So I think that if it wasn't for his upbringing, I think we probably wouldn't have got that authentic, energetic, but still heartfelt and sincere DMX.
DMX made a lot of decisions that were just bad decisions after a while. I had somebody comment on it and say that he had every opportunity and the resources to get the help that he could have gotten.
I hate when people say shit like this. The only people that say stuff like this are people that have never had any interactions with drug addicts. To say that, oh, well, he had all the resources to get help, and why didn't he just go do it? That's speaking from a perspective that you clearly don't understand. Like, it's not that easy. Like, people think that you just do drugs because you just feel like doing drugs. It's not that simple. Like, this is really, I mean, it sounds cliche, but this is really like telling a cancer patient to stop having cancer. It doesn't work that way. Like, you have people that are alcoholics because they literally, their body fiends for that shit. And sure, he can go and get help, and he has gotten help. He's gotten help multiple times. So for people to sit in comment sections and be like, well, he had the resources to get help, why don't you go spend a couple days in an actual resource center or an addiction counseling center and actually talk to addicts, and you'll understand how this shit goes. Like, as someone who's lost good friends from addiction, it's not as simple as, oh, I'm tired of being an addict. I'm just gonna go stop today. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's a sickness.
It's a sickness. It really is.
It's a disease.
Sucks that DMX is gone, man. You know, I think the world didn't realize how much he impacted them. Like, you know, while he was here. I know my wife was just, you know, she was saying like, dang, man, I didn't realize how much this dude had influence on my life. Yeah, man, it's a big loss for hip hop, you know. But yeah, so yeah, it definitely was rough.
You know, unfortunate that he left too soon. I know a lot of people that really, you know, love and inspired by DMX a lot. So for him to leave, and you know, the fact that hearing about how his life, you know, coming up is, you know, the fact that he even made it to 50 is amazing within itself. But still, 50 is still a young age for him to leave too soon. So yeah, I mean, you know, rest in peace to DMX.
I get the feeling that DMX knew that he was loved. I think a lot of people show that to him, you know, while he was alive. You know, sometimes we talk about, you know, giving people their flowers while they're still here. And just looking at the stories that a lot of people are sharing, stories that I haven't heard before, showing that he really was like a man of the people. And I thought that was really dope, man. And, you know, he transcended music. Everybody knew him. Like, everybody knew DMX. And I'm, you know, glad that, you know, I got a chance to enjoy him while he was still here. And of course, I still continue to enjoy his music. So, you know, I think I don't like doing videos like this. Rest in power, DMX, man.
I think it's cool that he was, I don't know if you watched him on Drink Champs, which I've become a huge fan of that show. I don't know why, but Nori's just a funny ass motherfucker. But he had DMX on there, and DMX was so excited talking about his new album that I think he had finished it. But, you know, he was talking about, you know, Wayne's on it, Conway, Benny, like, and I started thinking, I was like, man, I haven't listened to a DMX album, like a new DMX album in a while, but I was like, man, I'm actually gonna check this one out, because this sounds like it might be really fucking crazy. But it's also worth checking out that interview to hear him talking about Prince and how much of a gangster Prince is. Just hearing DMX, one of the scariest motherfuckers you probably ever meet, talking about how gangster Prince is and how Prince was dropping gems about making sure he owned his own masters and all this shit. It's just crazy because DMX really, he was him, but he was such a character. Like, he was funny as well as intimidating and menacing, but at the same time, you could just tell there was a guy with a heart there. I mean, he said some terrible stuff, but at the same time, you could tell, like, this is just a dude that was a product of his environment. And I really genuinely felt like he was a dude that if I met, he would be the nicest dude. Because everybody that says they met him said he was the nicest guy they ever met.
Yeah.
They just run into him at an airport, at a chicken shop, wherever. And they'd say he was the nicest guy. He would just chat with them, take pictures and all that. So yeah, definitely rest in peace to DMX.
It's funny you say that. I know we're trying to close out, but when you was talking about, he said some mean things, but then, you know, you can hear the heart. You can kind of also hear the conflict in his music too. Mm-hmm. Like there's some mean, terrible songs, but then there's, you know, him doing songs about prayer.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
He always close it out with prayer.
Yeah. So, you know, that conflict, that duality that he always dealt with was in his music as well. And just kind of to say this as well, just go listen to Is the Mic Still On? We kind of talked about it a little bit more, on there as well. Not this, so it's a different type of conversations as well. And check out the YouTube channel. I think we'll put the clip on there too. But subscribe, Is the Mic Still On? It's the podcast. And go to youtube.com/Is the Mic Still On?